Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yvonne Princess Shabango. If you are new here, you're welcome to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And voila, you're part of the graceful, the beautiful, and the wonderful family. We are back with another video, and it's a book review. We are reviewing The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. Love, love, love this. Not just any Michelle, but the First Lady herself. This is one of the most beautiful books I've read. And I think I love the fact that I read it interchangeably with two other beautiful books. What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey, as well as Radical Confidence by Lisa. So yeah, it's quite a beautiful book. I just want to read you guys something from Michelle that she says right behind her book, right here. So she says, I've learned that it's okay to recognize that self-worth comes wrapped in vulnerability, and that what we share as humans on this earth is the impulse to strive for better, always and no matter what. We become bolder in brightness if you know your light, if you know yourself, you know your own story in an honest way. In my experience, this type of self-knowledge builds confidence, which in turn breeds calmness and an ability to maintain perspective, which leads finally to being able to connect meaningfully with others. And this to me is the bedrock of all things. One light fits another, and one strong family lends strength to more, and one engaged community can ignite those around it. This is the power of the light we carry. So before I go into the lessons of this book, there's something that Bumi said the other day when we were doing a book review of Disruptive Thinkers, I think, if I'm not mistaken, by T.D. Jakes. She mentioned something along the lines of, when you start a book, you need to ask yourself, what's my intention with reading this book? Sorry guys. What's my intention with reading this book, right? What am I trying to learn? What am I trying to achieve, right? So I wrote something here. What is my intention with this book? The intention I had when I was reading this book, right? My first intention was I wanted to become more effective as a human being. I wanted to become more kinder. And I wanted to utilize my kindness and my wholesomeness in a impactful way, so just recognizing who I am. Like the First Lady says, you can only be able to utilize your light if you know yourself, you know who you are, and you know the light you carry. You can't use what you don't know. You can't correct what you don't know. You can't expand what you don't know. So basically my whole reason why I had to read this book, I wanted to know myself better and tap into a better version of myself, and it gave me that. Let's see, I think I wrote some notes here where I was actually saying what it gave me. Guys, my notes. Okay, yes, found it. So what this book taught me, just in a nutshell, like overall, before I go into the review of it all, it taught me the power of relationships and being intentional, and it taught me the importance of doing the work. You have a choice all the time. It also taught me that it is important that you are intentional and deliberate in all things, and it is important that you connect with other human beings, because we were created to connect. And it has also taught me that it's important to do the work, guys. There's only so much I can say. I can read this book, share it with you, share the reviews, share what I've learned, but if you don't do the work, nothing will ever come of it. So it's important that you do the work. Put in the work, guys. If you're reading a book, like right now I'm reading 8 Rules of Love, right? And there's certain things that Jay Shetty says we should do. I'm doing them. Even Michelle Obama, there's this new thing I'm implementing. I'm those girls that if you go high, if you go low, I go lower with you. If you want us to go there, I go there with you. But there's something that she says, when they go lower, we go higher. I'm trying to implement that. When a person is triggering me, I try to step back and be like, okay, is this even necessary? Is this feeling, and as much as this feeling can be valid, is it gonna solve the problem? And if not, then I need to do better. So it's very important that you put in the work. I can't stress that enough, because there's only so much podcasts, books, and YouTubes can do for you if you're not willing to put in the work. If you're gonna read a book that says, I became successful by waking up at 5 a.m. Be sure to be waking up at 5 a.m. Be sure, if it says you have to be kind, be sure to be doing that. Implement those things. That's when you start seeing the result, right? And then let's start. There's some things that I won't share because I want you guys to go and buy this book. I want you guys to go and buy this book. I need you guys to go and buy this book, right? Yeah, I need you guys to go and buy this book, right? And there's something so funny she says at the beginning of the book. I love that she's of the noble profession. You guys know the noble profession. Ask the lawyers, She said something so funny, and I think every lawyer should hear this because, I mean, we all agree, right? She says, I pushed hard at achievement, switching careers not once but a few times. I moved myself out of the cult of billable hours into jobs that kept me closer to my community, and which was though they were less busy. So we all know, guys, in the profession, billables. If you're not billing, you ain't anything. If you're not billing, you're not seen as worthy. And which is one of the things that she addresses later in the book. If you get the book, you will realize that she speaks to it as well, to say you don't have to stay in environments that constrain you or in environments that drain you. There's so much a law degree can do for you. Like, for instance, she was in a corporate international law firm. She was corporate and commercial and all of that, but she figured out it doesn't work for the person that she is. She figured out she wants to be in community. She wants to do other things. She wants to be involved. She wants to make an impact in a different way, and she left, and I think it also taught me that, leaving, sometimes people think when, like, for instance, I worked for a corporate commercial law firm. And I think right now, as things stand, I'm allowed to change my mind though, but as things stand, I've said to myself, I'm not so sure about going back to practice. I want to try out in-house. I'm happy to do it again, don't have a problem, but it's not my main priority. And some people are like, oh my God, you're so disappointing. And my thing is, changing or switching doesn't mean I failed. Changing or switching means I'm evolving, I'm understanding myself better, I'm knowing better, I'm doing better. It's very important that you've got that understanding. So I thought I should share this whole thing. We all complain about billables. Even the first lady complained about billables, okay? We're in this together. I love how lawyers, like, our problems are the same, guys. Our problems are the same. And I love what she says. I'd given myself over to something that was smaller than fear, smaller than my worries and my anger, smaller than the crushing sense of helplessness I felt. Something in that tiny and precise motion on repeat. The gentle rhythm of those clicking needles moved my brain in a new direction. It put me on a certain road, one leading out to the wrecked city and up a quiet hillside to a place where I could see with more clarity, where I could spot some of the landmarks again. I love this so much because here she speaks of fear. She speaks of how it's okay to be afraid. You're going to get goosebumps. You're going to be scared. But the problem is we decline, or we restrain from fear because we're thinking fear is so foreign and fear is this horrible thing. It must never take place. Trust me, guys, if you're chasing a dream bigger than you, you're going to be afraid. There is no way you're gonna walk into the biggest dream of your life and not be afraid. You are gonna be scared, but also, like, what you do with that fear is important. Are you gonna let that fear fuel you? Are you gonna let that fear make you a better person? Are you gonna let that fear help you unlock even a better version of yourself, or unlock better ideas or opportunities? So it's important that it's okay to be fearful. You are going to fear. Let's stop having that ideology that fear does not exist. Because when we spread that ideology, it makes people not want to do things because they're afraid. Do it afraid. You are supposed to be afraid. You are, like, I'm the first lawyer in my family. I am supposed to be afraid. It's gonna give me, like, goosebumps. It's gonna make me, like, I'm gonna have fear. I'm breaking a generational curse. I'm probably gonna be the first person in my family to have a PhD. Like, those things are scary because, like, one, you're breaking generational curses, and two, you're the first of that breed or that kind. And guys, if something is big, it's gonna scare you. That's that. It's like, for instance, people go for these walks. I don't know if you guys have seen them, lion walking. You walk a lion and stuff. You can tell they're guided walks, but you can tell that a person's afraid because when it's all said and done, it's a lion. So it's me saying fear is normal, fear is okay. And I love the story that she narrates, right, when she talks about how Barack said he was running for president, and she had her fears. She was afraid. She had questions, she had doubts, and instead of letting her doubt control her, or making her afraid, or make her stop Barack. Because, Barack said, I'm going to run for presidency if you're okay with it, my love. Also, guys, it's important finding somebody that really loves you like that, right? So Barack says that to our first lady, right? And then she was so afraid because it all depended on her saying yes or no. Because Barack was like, if you don't want me to do it, I'm not going to do it, right? And then, so she sat with the decision and she's like, what am I supposed to do? She was in fear. She was scared because she knew that their whole lives are going to change and all of these things. You know what she allowed that fear do? She allowed that fear to fuel her. And it touched me so much that I'm like, imagine if our first lady had allowed herself to be controlled by fear. You need to control your fear. Don't let it control you. If she had allowed herself to be controlled by fear, we wouldn't have the type of America we have now. Barack Obama wouldn't have made the differences he made. Like, it's crazy how your fear or your failure to decide or your failure to take courage or allow yourself to be afraid and still do it can change the whole existence of humanity. That's how crazy it can get. You know, I always say to people that, you know what, people can say whatever they want. They say, oh no, I do what I want. It doesn't matter. Nobody tells me what to do. Guys, but what you don't realize, we are very interconnected as humanity. And because we're very connected, your decision today, one way or another, does impact the next person. You deciding to stay on that toxic, abusive job, you're setting a precedent for people that come after you to say it's okay to work in those environments. You leaving and saying, you know what, I'm going to go start my own thing. You're creating a precedent for people that are your age or people that see you to say, you know what, I can start all over. I can start my own thing. So it's important that you have an understanding that the decisions that you make, the fear and the doubt that you face, and what it makes you do, it actually impacts people around you. You know, look at our first lady. I mean, she had I'm imagining if she had said no, the impact that Barack Obama had in America and all over the world. And actually, I feel like for me, Barack Obama he is the tangible dream of an African child. When I'm thinking you originate from Kenya, you are African, and you go and lead America, I'm seeing that things are possible. I'm seeing that I can and I will. You know, I'm like, for me, I'm thinking this is a tangible inspirational, a tangible dream come true. Like, you know, so it's important that you don't let fear control you, right? Oh guys, this book is amazing. It's beautiful. You know, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then also she speaks on faith. She says it's important to have faith in all things. And that's another thing, guys. The definition of faith is things not seen, no heard. You don't know it, you're not sure. That is why faith is a thing. That is why you must have faith. You know, every time you are afraid, I want you to remind yourself this is where faith works. I want you to remind yourself that this is where I apply my faith. This is where my belief comes in. It's important that you have faith. You know, because she talks about how her faith carried her in so many occasions, on so many seasons, that she wouldn't have carried herself through. And then also I love how she speaks of intention and deliberacy in relationships, and how Barack Obama was so intentional. I love that chapter so much, guys. It's such a beautiful chapter. I want to go straight into it because I want you guys to get this book. I really want you guys to get this book because it's such a beautiful beautiful book, right? And then also one of my favorite chapters is chapter 4, right? Yeah, so we're starting with my favorite chapters now that I've rambled and rambled, so now we're going into the meat of it, right? So at chapter 4, she talks about being seen. You know, one of the most important things, right? I took notes back then, right? So we often search for spaces. This is what I wrote down. We often search for spaces in the most luxury places or places that appear like glitter, but we don't realize that a safe space can be found in the simplest things in life, like a walk with a friend or your mom's small kitchen. That's another thing, guys. We think safe means I'm in a limbo, I'm in a Maserati, and all of those are beautiful things to have, but you need to understand that your safe space could be just sharing a donut with a friend, going for ice cream with a friend or with your family. That's a safe space. Or in your mother's kitchen, or in that small couch that you have in your family, that's a safe space. You know, it's not in luxury things, right? And then woo, guys, I love this book. It's such a beautiful and an amazing book, right? So she says, I try to provide the same thing for my friends. Now, a sense of home, a sense of safety and belonging, a sympathetic ear, and it's what I look for inside friendships. And same enveloping feeling, the same enveloping feeling. And guys, if you're looking to make friends or grow your relationships or handle your friendships with grace, this is the book for you. Like, it touches a lot on relationship and how you can become a better friend, a better sister, or just a better person to society, you know, and how you can expose your light. And then she says, I've also learned that support, love, and validation can come from anywhere and everywhere, not just from your home, right? And that's another thing. We have these crazy expectations whereby we think certain things can only come from certain places. I have people that I've met that are now like my sisters, and I'm just like, God, really? You know, so it's important that you give relationship, you give connection a chance, you know, because you may never know. You may never know it's gonna land. And then there's something that I noted. We always expect others to be our safe space or create a safe, so we always expect other people to create a safe space for us. But the big question is, do you create a safe space for others? Are you a safe space? We're constantly writing out lists. I need a friend like this. They must dress like this. They must treat me like this. They must do this. But are you that? Are you a safe space? Can somebody rely on you? Can somebody say, I'm having a bad day, I know I'm going to call Yvonne and I'm going to have a good laugh, or I'm going to have a good reassurance? Because it's important that when we expect certain things from society, we're able to come with them to the table. When I say I want people to treat me with respect, are you respectful? Are you kind? Are you forthcoming? You know, are you understanding? You know, it's very important, guys. I love this chapter so much. I sent this to all of my friends. If you didn't get this, I don't know how I skipped you, but this is such a powerful page from the book, right? She says, and I even posted it on my Instagram, that one person cannot be everything to you. It's heavy, unfair, and ridiculous to expect such from one individual. That's a crazy expectation. You can't expect a person to be everything to you, which is why you must find yourself, know what you like, do some things for yourself, and then which is why also it's important that you have different friends, that different relationships with people that fulfill you differently. You know, you can't, like, we have relationships whereby you're dating somebody and then you think they're going to be everything to you. No, guys. You know, I remember she was mentioning how even with her relationship with Barack Obama, she was like, you know what, Barack and I have a beautiful relationship and all, but Barack is not my everything. I've got my friends, you know, I've got my acquaintances, I've got people that I hang with, I've got people that I do activities with. It's important that you have that. It's important that you have connection or relation outside a relationship. And it's important that you don't put one burden, the whole burden of you becoming happy and everything, on one individual. It's not going to work. You're going to hurt yourself, right? Don't do life alone. People are there to help you. People are there to be with you. I, for one, I know, I always say I'm forever grateful for my friends, for my family, because I wouldn't be without them, you know. So this is what she says: I lean on each individual at different times in different ways. And sorry guys, this paragraph has helped me treat my friendships with grace. So if you think I've been too nice of late, just know it's because of this paragraph. So she says, I lean on each individual at different times in different ways, which is another thing worth recognizing about friendships. No one person, no one relationship will fulfill your every need. Not every friend can offer you safety or support on every day. Not everyone can or will show up precisely when or how you need them to, right? And this is why it's good to always continue making room at your table. To keep yourself open to gathering more friends. You will never not need them, and you will never not stop learning from them. I can promise you that. The best way to be a friend to someone, as I see it, is to revel in their uniqueness, to appreciate each person for what they bring, receiving them simply as themselves. This sometimes means letting friends off the hook for what they can't or do bring. I have active friends who want to climb mountains and take trips, and others who are happy as to laze on the couch with a cup of tea. Oh, love this. There are some I would call in a crisis, and some I would not. Some friends give advice and others regale me with stories of their dating lives. A few love nothing more than a great late night to party. Others go to bed religiously at 9 p.m. I have friends who are excellent about remembering birthdays and meaningful dates, and I have friends who are scattershot about keeping track of that stuff, but who will give you the gift of their sincere and full attention when you are with them in the room. What matters is that I can see and appreciate them, and that they can see and appreciate me. My friends give me perspective, guys. If you're my friend, you give me perspective. When I read this, I almost teared down because I know I've been quite harsh to some people, or to my friendships, and even to myself, because I'm always thinking, why can't so and so be like this? Why can't so and so remember my birthday? Why can't so and so do certain things for me? But after I read this paragraph, I was like, no, there's no need. People are different, and if there's anything, we need to appreciate and enjoy people for their differentness. Ne? Yes. So yeah, don't do life alone, guys. It's important to have people that will love you, people that will remind you that you are enough, you know. And then I love this chapter as well. It says adulting. So this is what I noted from this chapter. It's chapter, oh, it's still the same chapter. Am I seeing? Oh no, it's not the same chapter. Chapter 6. Oh, chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a beautiful chapter because she talks about her relationship with Barack Obama. I love chapter 6, guys, so much. It's one of my favorite chapters. It teaches you, if you want to know how to relationship better, I won't say well because that's very tricky, but if you want to know how to relationship better, guys, By the Light We Carry by Michelle Obama, go to chapter 6. It's beautiful, right? Starting at the pages, I noted something. These are my own notes. Adulting is our chance to do better, get to know ourselves, and learn how the world operates, and how we want to be loved, and how we want to receive love and give love, right? And then so she says, how do any of us turn into adults with real grown-up lives and real grown-up relationships? Mostly through trial and error, it would seem, but just by figuring out. Many of us, I think, puzzle out our identities only over time, figuring out who we are and what we need in order to get by. We approximate our way into maturity, often following some loose idea of what we believe grown-up life is supposed to look like. We practice and learn and practice. We make mistakes, then we start over. For a long time, a lot of experimental, unsettled, we try on different ways of being. We sample and discard different attitudes, approaches, and influences and tools for living until piece by piece we begin to better understand what suits us best and what helps us the most. And here's the thing, I love this so much because also it teaches you that life is only about a journey, number one. And number two, you're not going to get it right the first time or all the time. You have to learn to figure yourself out. And in the figuring yourself out, don't be trying to be like A, B, C, D, but try to find what works for you. What methods, what approaches, what attitude, what type of person are you trying to be? What adult life would you want to have? What family structure would you want to have? And you know these things by being yourself and by allowing life to take place. Pastor T.D. Jakes says, the best teacher is experience. So when you experience life, you learn more. And don't be so hard on yourself. When things don't go right, learn, practice, go back, start over, go back to the drawing board. Like, you will never be in a position whereby you don't learn. One day you will figure out what works for you. At some point you will, right? And then there's another one. I noted this. I was like, these are my notes. I was like, I said, guys, I'm not so sure if it's deliberate, but every married person, especially those that married young and have beautiful marriages, they always advise that we don't rush nor leave the market too soon. They always say, let it find you aware, wholesome, healed, because it will trigger you. Apparently, marriage is a big trigger. Apparently, marriage will trigger your best and your worst parts. And people are always ready for their best parts, but never ready for their worst parts. So I don't know. So she says something along the lines of, they are learning who they can lean on and who they enjoy, which relationships they most want to invest in, and which will carry them through life. They're beginning to build their own kitchen tables. So here she was talking about her kids. She was saying she's allowing them to, in as much as she's very self-aware and all of these things, she's not being too cautious. She's allowing her children to have relationships as much as they need to, make friends as much as they need to, because as they grow, you're building your own kitchen, you're building your own community. Because I think at some point you get to a point whereby you're like, done making friends, and by the time that time comes, you must have enough, and you must have a genuine and a healthy circle, right? And then she says again, the truth is that I'm hoping that our daughters, yes, this is about the marriage thing, right? She says, the truth is I'm hoping that our daughters won't rush out of the flea market too quickly. I hope they will instead linger a while, allowing their relationships to remain fluid and youthful. What I want more than anything is for them to prioritize learning the skills of independence, how to make a living, how to keep themselves healthy, fed and happy, well ahead of signing up for a lifetime spent with another person. I told them to focus on becoming a whole person, able to stand on their own. When you know your own light, you are then better prepared to share it with another person. But you have to practice your way through all of it. So I also really love this because it really tells you that, guys, it's important that before you even, I mean, it's beautiful to have relationships. We all want to be like bagels. We all want to go on vacation and all of that. But I think the most important thing is being able to know yourself and being able to identify who you are and being able to know your life before you actually commit to a lifetime thing. Because one thing that happens a lot with people, and I think that's why relationships ending up in a very toxic manner and why the divorce rate is very high. By the time you get married, you don't know yourself, or by the time you commit to a long-term commitment, you don't know yourself, right? And when you don't know yourself, you run with anything that's brought to the table, right? You run with it for so many years, then you wake up one day, you realize that this is not me, and then it's going to crush you. Then you're going to want to leave, and you realize that you've wasted so much time. So it's best that you take this time that you have right now. If you're in solitude, if you're single, you're searching, or as you're waiting for love to find you, or as you're looking for love, make sure that you're also working on yourself, and make sure that you are healthy, and make sure that you're able to look after yourself. Because if you're unable to look after yourself, it's crazy to think that another person will look after you, you know. Yeah, that's my chat. And then I love this as well. I also noted something. She said, I'm rooting for my daughters to learn their way into maturity in their relationships and not worrying about wringing some clear result from it. I don't want them to see marriage as some sort of trophy that must be hunted and won, or to believe that a wedding is the sort of spectacle they need to properly launch a fulfilling life, or ever feel that having children is any sort of a requirement. My hope instead is that they will experience different levels of commitment, figuring out how to end a relationship that ain't working and how to start new ones that seem promising. I want them to know how to navigate conflicts, to understand the heady thrills of intimacy, and to have a sense of what it's like to get your heart shaken up. Like, heartbreaks are important, guys. When and if my kids do choose to finally to be with someone for life, I want them to do it from a place of strength, truly knowing who they are and what they need. Whew! Guys, how beautiful is this? Choosing somebody from a place of strength, not because you're desperate, not because you're pressured into it, not because you feel like because everybody else is doing, but because you want to, you know, because you know you're ready, it feels right? And then she says, I hope they find home, whatever that ends up looking like. That's my hope for every person that's watching this video. I hope you find your home. And oftenly, home is a person. But also, I love how the First Lady says, whatever that looks like. If you being single, that's home, great. If you being with somebody, that's home, great. If you being married or whatever, that's home, great. It's so beautiful. I enjoyed reading this book so much, right? And then there's another one that I noted, that we're oftenly taught what to expect from relationships, but we do not know how to start and end relationships that are genuine and healthy. Many other times it's how to score a man, how to do this, how to do that, or how to get this, and how to stay happy. But do I know how to sustain a genuine and a healthy relationship? No, I don't. Do I know how to end a relationship that doesn't serve me? No, I don't. So this is me saying, take time and invest in those. Take time and invest in how to start a genuine and a healthy relationship, how to sustain it, and how to end it when it doesn't serve you anymore. You know, it's really so amazing when you're able to end relationships in a healthy manner. Because sometimes relationships do end haphazardly, hey? They end up in a harsh manner. And then also, I love how she narrates her story with Barack Obama. She says, our love is not perfect, but it's real. We are committed to it. It's important to commit to when you sign up for something, commit to it. Be in it, you know? And then she says, we're in many ways very different people, my husband and I. And that's another thing. We're not going to be the same. I think we go around searching for this identical other half That's the other problem. You're searching for other half. Your other half is with you. You have your other half. You are the other half. You know, so it's important that we get away from the narrative that we're gonna marry the people that are, or not even marry, but we're gonna end up with the people that are exactly like us. You know, the saying opposites attract, something along those lines. But yeah, and it says, despite all the ways we aggravate each other and all the ways we're different, neither one of us has walked away. We're still here. We remain. Love, love, love this. It reminds me so much of a story. I was telling my other friend the other day, I'm like, this part reminds me of her relationship so much because I've seen her relationship with a partner grow and evolve, and they've remained, you know. And then he says, over the course of my adult life, I've lived in a number of places, but as far as I'm concerned, I've only had one real home. My home is my family. My home is Barak. Guys, I don't know, man. Like the First Lady, this book this is not a romantic book, but I don't know the way I'm reading. Maybe it's how I'm reading it or how I'm receiving it, but it's so, it's Ampurkar, it's delicious. My home is Barak. Our partnership is something we have created together. We inhabit it every day, making improvements to it as we are able to, sometimes letting it exist as is, right? Guys, also, we're always obsessed with improving. Sometimes just leave in whatever that you're in. You know, I love what she says, that sometimes we improve it, sometimes we allow it to be, sometimes we let it be. You know, our marriage, and also I love that she says, we are committed. So it's a work in progress, guys. You don't wake up and you have the most beautiful relationship. You wake up, you have the most beautiful relationship, and it's usually because you've put in the work. You've pushed so hard, you know? And then, I love this. And then she says, our marriage is what we launch from and land in, a place where we can each be thoroughly comfortable, often annoying ourselves. We come to accept that this sphere we dwell in together, in the energy and emotion between us, may not always be tidy and ordered or exactly how one or both of us wants it to be. But the plain and reassuring fact is it endures. So that's another thing. Many of the times we want things to be perfect. I'm not going to wake up every day liking you, but us showing up every day, having dinner together means something, you know? So yeah, don't obsess over the idea of being perfect, but obsess over the idea of meeting your best self and being able to, if you commit to somebody or something with someone, show up, do what you need to do, you know? There's this other one I wanted to share with you guys, but I don't know where my notes are. But anyway, we're here now. So, and then I love how she tells the story of how Barak was direct from the onset, you know. And before I go into that, right? So she says a relationship is dynamic this way, full of change, always evolving. At no point will both of you feel like things are perfectly fair and equal. Someone will always be adjusting. Someone will always be sacrificing. One person may be up while the other is down. One might bear more of the financial pressures while the other handles caregiving and family obligations. Those choices and the stresses that go along with them are real. I've come to realize, though, that life happens in seasons. Your fulfillment in love, family, and career really happens all at once. It's true, guys. Contentness in different areas of our lives happens differently, like in different seasons and timing. You know, sometimes you're content in your career, but like it's a lot in your relationship. Sometimes you're content in your relationship, but you're struggling in other areas. So don't beat yourself up when you don't have it all figured out, because yeah, it is what it is, right? And then she says, regardless of how widely and deeply in love you are, you will be asked to onboard a whole lot of your partner's foibles. You will be required to ignore all sorts of minor irritations, at least a few major ones too, trying to assert love and constancy over all of it. Over all the rough spots and inevitable disruptions, you will need to do this as often and as compassionately as you can. And you will need to be doing it with somebody who is equally able and willing to create the same latitude and show the same forbearance towards you, to love you despite all the baggage you show up with, despite what you look like and how you behave when you're at your absolute worst. It's an insane and seemingly against the odds preposition. if you think about it, and it doesn't always work. It shouldn't always work. If you're being harmed inside a relationship, it's time to remove yourself from it. But if it does work, it can feel like an actual honest to God miracle, which is what love is after all. That's my whole point. Any long-term partnership really is an act of stubborn faith, guys. If you're in that long-term relationship, trust me, you are you are a definition of stubborn faith. Because I mean, when you're different, it's hard to make it work, you know. But when you're different and still make it work, and you still show up regardless, and it's not toxic or taking a toll on your health or anything along those lines, I'm just here to give you an applause. You are a person of faith, you know. And I'm also here to say, if you can exercise your faith in that way, maybe you can also stretch your faith to other things, right? Then she says, so this is what I noted: no matter how much we deny it, but at some point we all exercise faith. E.g., you accepted a permanent job offer and you agree that you will start tomorrow or in the next 2 weeks. How sure are you that you're going to be alive in the next 2 weeks? How sure are you that you're going to be in the country? It's all an act of faith. So you need to realize that we all possess some sort of faith, whether we like it or not. The fact that I'm accepting offers for the year 2024, like, it's wild. It's radical faith, because it's like, what makes you think you're going to be in the country, you know? So yeah, it's important that we continue to exercise our faith in different ways. It actually does help you, and it does work, right? And then she says he was committed to juggling different jobs, turning down crashy corporate positions because he wanted to write books, teach, and stay aligned with his values. This was Barack Obama when Michelle and himself met, right? It was very clear. And I love how she explains the story about how Barack was direct from the onset. Listen, I like you. Let's go out for dinner. Let's do this. I want to date you for a very long time. Like, you know what? She wasn't looking for it, but it just found her in the most weird place. Imagine you met the love of your life in a lift. Imagine on that day you decided to take stairs instead of a lift. You see why, guys, it's important to take a lift. Anyway, she says we entered into all that chaos together, certain of only one thing, and that was that we're better off facing it as a team. Sometimes, guys, we don't know, we're unsure, but the only thing that keeps you together, or the only thing that keeps you centered in that chaos, is knowing that you're doing it with somebody else. That's it. And that's the only assurance you need. It doesn't have to make sense. Sometimes if you look at it, we've got a dream team, we're a team, we work well together. Just focus on that, and the rest will be sorted out along the way, you know. And then she also says, I learned early on in life that a partner does not fix your issues or fill out your needs. People are who they are. You can't make someone become something they don't want to be, or into a type of person they've never had modeled themselves to be, you know. So it's very important that you've got an understanding that, guys, don't go into relationships with the hope that your partner is going to fix you, your partner is going to make you a better person or whatever. They may do that, but your partner is not your fixer, and also you're not a fixer. Don't go into relationships trying to fix people. You're not going to win. You're going to be frustrated. It's going to frustrate you for a very, very long time, right? And then also she says, it's important that you don't settle. Don't settle, guys. Hop around, you know. And when I say hop around, hear me and hear me clearly. Date with purpose. If you're going to date, guys, leave that relationship knowing how to communicate better. If you don't intend on keeping it for a very long time, leave that relationship knowing how to communicate better. Leave that relationship knowing how to drive. Leave that, like, don't aimlessly date and expose your energy to 50 million people. You're depreciating yourself. And I know people are going to think there's nothing. No. And it's not even about the whole dating thing. So, guys, I have to cut this review very short. Okay, I know it's not very short. I have a lot more things that I still want to share, but unfortunately, I'm stretched for time. I double booked myself for this. So I just want to say, continue shining your light, and then we're going to continue part 2, right? I'm just going to read my last note, and then we're going to continue later on, right? So I just want to address something. People always think that the length of a relationship is what determines how strong it is, but I just want to say, according to the First Lady, and I also agree, right, that length doesn't always mean healthy or meaningful. You could be in it for years and realize that you actually don't know anything, nor do you have any connection. You know, you can be in it for years and realize you don't know that person, you don't have a connection with that person, right? So don't be harsh on your fresh and new relationships thinking that, oh no, you know what, I'd rather stick to the long-term ones. Also evaluate the long-term ones, because you may be in that long-term relationship but it's not serving you anymore. So it's very important that you evaluate, and it's important that you give new things, new relationship, a fair chance, guys. I hope you really get this book. Just in case I don't do a part 2 review, or just in case the part 2 is way later, you know, but I guess from what I've shared, you really get the feel of it all. It's important to connect, it's important to love one another, and it's important to know yourself and work on yourself and heal yourself, because when we are healed, when we are better, we actually are able to impact other people in a better way, right? God bless you. Do not forget to be love and light, and love you all.